Yes, Fusey hype. I see my people. I see We Don't Blow TV. I see Princess Mariah. I see Oluwani Shola. Yeah, keep coming in. Keep coming in. Good evening, people. Episode 14. The gate. Hey, Ronkuse. I see you. Ha ha. Ronke Akimbua. Oluwani Shola. I see you. Oloye 3. Oluwani Shola Ziski. My namesake, I see you. Fusey Hype is Colby Queen. Mike Savior, good evening. Shegemali 1. Tina Notina. I see people. We're just waiting for LD the Don. You guys start typing your questions. Start typing in your questions. Sanach Med, I see you. HSPWM, I see you. Buy my badges, or support your girl. Good evening. This evening I'm looking forward to having fun. Yes, we don't blow. Yes, you can see behind me. Yes, define the nations, one story at a time. I know the Dawn, LD, he's just something else. I don't even know what to call him again. I don't have to call him artist, producer, label, executive. I don't know what to call him anymore. Scrum Master, Agile, a convener, facilitator, Scrum Master. He teaches you guys how to set up your investment portfolio. Fizzy Hype, thank you for buying a badge. Love you. Oh, Ronka, thank you for buying a badge. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I see you. Eldina, grandfather. I don't know about being a grandfather. LD is just someone who I don't even know how to categorize him. You can't put LD in a box. That's one thing I love about him. If you try and catch him here, you go come out here, you go come out here. Simply toasting, good evening. Love you. Oluyide Fumilayo, good evening. Famorio, good evening. Patrick Ojo, good evening. Thanks for joining in. It's 8 o'clock. Let me go and check my guest, but I'm sure it's gonna jump in a few seconds. It could not be me see. I get it loud. I spend it loud. Bossy bang back at you. Bossy bang back at you. Woo. Ha ha. Hey. Whether you like 'em, the team be say you must do the shake body. Loris Collections, good evening, I see you. Masking Singias, Judex, I see you. Yes, so I'm a big boy. DJ 3K, holla, I see you. Adeyemi Adekola, let me go and grab my guest. Let me see what's going on. Let me nudge him. Sometimes it's easy to forget. Let me go and nudge him and ask him, guy, we're waiting for you. Official Adeyemi Adekola, I am Keshi Bills. Oh yeah, spend those bills tonight. Jerusalem on high, I love that. T-Logs, good evening. Ziki 87, I see you. DJ 3K, ra. Welcome to the Gatekeeper series. Crownsy Corner. I'm just sending LD a message and let them know we're in here. I missed the session of LD. No. The session of LD is actually tonight. Mike Xavier, the session of LD, you just stopped by at the right time. And the last session was crazy. The last session of Ego Boyo, the one before Ego Boyo, Mama Tara Jaela, I said, I had Daddy Shoki. Daddy Shoki 2 was off the hook. Oh my goodness. But you guys, I'm bringing somebody on the 11th of November. I'm not going to tell you his name. Ekundayo, I see you. LD the Don. LD's trying to make a grand entrance. Let me give him a. Okay, he's in. My guest is here. I see him. I see Gatekeeper. Ha. Solutions provider for a generation. Rapper, artist, record label executive, producer, songwriter. Ah, there's only one LD. LD. He's got it loud, loud. He spends it loud, loud. He's a big boy. Kaz, I see you. Claire Bells, I see you. Without further ado, I bring on my guest, LD. LD, the Don. Hey, he's a big boy. He's got it loud, loud. He spends it loud, loud. Ah, bossy bang bang, kaiju.
Yo, what
Yo,
up,
what's
big
going?
sis? What's up?
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Good evening. Good
Not
evening. Good
much,
evening.
not much,
Welcome
not
to the
much, not
Gatekeeper
much.
Series LD. You are
Thank you,
welcome, welcome, welcome. I welcome you officially.
thank you,
Ha!
thank you, thank you. You said I
You
get it loud, loud. I don't spin it loud, loud anymore.
I know,
I'm
I
trying,
see you. I've been
I'm trying,
seeing
I'm
you.
trying to keep
I
getting
know.
it loud, loud. But yeah, I don't want to be spinning it loud, loud any longer. Yeah, you
I
got to do things different.
know. I know. I see everything you're doing, Scrum mastering, Agile, showing us how to put our investment portfolios together. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. LD, let's dive in right from the very, very, very beginning. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning. Let's
Okay.
start with music. Why music? Why music?
Oh, music was an escape for me.
Hmm.
Music was an escape for me when I was younger. When I was in secondary school, in high school, I basically I found music interesting. It was kind of one of the things that I did to demonstrate my creativity. Right, I was Gemini, so comic books. I used to sketch comic books. I used to dance. I was interested in a lot of creative things. Right, so music was one of those things that I started to do, and I started to pick up some skills doing when I was in secondary school. Right, so started learning how to like make the music. Started learning how to rap. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a quick story about how I started rapping. Right, so there's a gentleman by the name of AT. A lot of people know him, Ayuba Tete, I went to school with. We're in the same set, not in the same class, but we're in the same set. And at lunchtime, when we go to hang out, AT is like singing for the girls. And he'll sing, and man, people used to gather around and listen to AT. And then obviously some of the guys who beatbox, I mean, if you're from the 90s, you'll kind of get what I'm saying. People come around and beatbox, and people gather around and listen to this dude. And I was like, yo, what is this dude doing? Like, and at the time, everybody was trying to attract the attention of the girls. So basically we'd go in there and I would pick up a verse because I was a hip hop head at the time. I'll pick up a verse, like an unknown verse, and then I'll tweak it and take some of the words out and put my name in it and just sort of like own it. And then I'll come there and drop it like a freestyle. Obviously it sounded doper than everybody else, right? So because of that, I'd learned those skills doing all of that, right? And at some point, I needed to start writing my own music. So I would basically take 4 bars here and there and try and reword and reword and reword. So I learned how to rap because of that. Now, when I got to University of Lagos, which is not where I was supposed to be, I wasn't supposed to go to Unilag. I was supposed to go to America like everybody else that I went to school with, or England or some other place. And I was stuck in Nigeria because my dad refused. Pretty much, it was like, you ain't going nowhere. You're going to Nigeria. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have Unilag in my jam forms. I had ABU because I didn't think I was gonna go. So anyway, my dad, ensured that I stayed in Nigeria, which in an interesting way, I was really resentful of him for doing that. But in retrospect, I feel like that experience is kind of what made me whole in a sense, because I needed to experience Nigeria. Now, my answers are long-winded. I hope you don't mind.
No, it's
So
cool.
I'm
That's what
trying to paint
no,
a picture.
no, that's what the gatekeepers is all about.
All
Just
right, I want to paint a picture. So, so anyway, so I go from Kaduna to Lagos. Culture shock. Everything is crazy. It's too fast. There's a lot of like just everything is mad in Lagos. So music became the one thing that I could do that took a lot of my time and kept me away from the madness. So that's how I started to sort of like hone my skills. Okay, now I have my deck, my double deck with the cassettes, and I had a mic, and I already had a little bit of equipment from when I was in Kaduna. So brought all the stuff with me. When I was in Unilag, I would have it in my dorm room, and then just record demos and start recording demos. And then the demos started to spread, and then one thing led to another. And KB also went to school with me, so he was one of the people that also got left behind, left behind and didn't get to go abroad. So we were not only in Unilag together, we were in the same hall, Shodende Hall, staying on the campus, and then we were also in the same wing on the same floor. So it was a total coincidence, right?
Wow.
And that's why when the stars are about to align and when there's a plan that God is trying to make happen, that's just how it happens, right? So KB is 5 doors away from me. I'm in E110. He's in E105. Oh, yeah, E105. And so I'm like, yo, I'm making these tapes or whatever. I don't know if you want to check them out. And he's like, yeah, of course, I want to make tapes too. So both of us started doing demos together. People heard the demos, and that's how freestyle got involved. Is someone told him about us, right? And then we also heard about him, and then we met up. And then the next thing you know, we're like, yeah, let's make some demos just to get away from this crazy campus, all this cults and all of the gangs and all the craziness that was going on. So that's really how it all started. Very long-winded answer, but I think there was need for the context. Okay.
No. So at one point in time, did you guys now think, okay, we're going to break in, we're going to get into the industry, we want to do this professionally. Let's go into the market, let's go get some money. Let's go.
For one, it was never really about let's go get some money. It was always about what's the next step for me, right? What's the next step? What are we missing in this picture? How do we become what we see? And by what we see, I meant what was available at the time, right? With hip hop in the UK and pioneers such as yourself and all the other people that were around that were trying to do something. What do we see and what's the next step and how do we get there? So the first challenge we had was how do we create our own music? So we started doing those demos, like I said. We would go to like Lil Files or DJ Jimmy Jat. He played a major role because he always gave us instrumentals. Every time we went to his shop, he would be like, yo, guys, anytime you need instrumentals, come here, tell the DJs to, slot you in for 30 minutes and record your demos in my studio. Like, he was that guy. He was ahead and he was very supportive. I don't think he gets enough flowers. Anyway, so all of that was happening. But then beyond that, the next step was creating our own music, because from the beginning, I always recognized the need to have to create and have ownership.
Yes.
Right. And already I had some skills when it came to creating. So I was like, you know what, let's try and figure out a way. So I went, bought a computer. There's a story about the computer side of my life, but that's a totally different story. If we start that one, we won't finish. So got a computer and started to like get software, had access to the internet. And it was one challenge after the next. We started creating our own music. That was challenge 1, completed. What's the next thing? How do we get the music out there to people? The only way to do it at the time was to make tapes, right? So we went to Nira. I talked to the people at Nira and say, hey, yo, how do we get these tapes made?
Nira
said, oh, yeah, it's going to cost you 25 Naira per tape, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking to myself, okay, if the tape costs me 25 bucks and I still have to print the sleeves, how much can we sell it for? We can't sell it for more than 50 Naira. Otherwise, it's not going to work, right? So that was another challenge. So we go ahead and make the tapes. I go to my mom and get a loan from my mom. God bless my mom, because there's so many milestones in early, I would say, Afrobeats music now, or Nigerian hip hop as we called it at the time. A lot of things that she contributed just based out of sheer, I don't know if she was just naive or if if she was just an agent that God just said, you know what, let me use you to make these poor decisions so you can help this movement. Or whatever it was. Anyway, she funds it. We go ahead and we get the tapes made, make the tapes, and now we got to figure out a way to distribute the tapes, right?
Yeah.
Give KB some, give Freestyle some. We had a crew that was kind of forming back then. Dell, he took some to Ife. Dr. Sid, he took some to UI. Everyone took a box back to the school. Each box, I think, was like 200 tapes or something. I can't remember. But anyway, so they're trying to sell, and we sell out. And so when we sell out, I'm like, oh, okay. The fact that we're able to sell these tapes means that there is a market. How do we get this stuff to Zaria? How do we get it to Enugu? How do we get it to Port Harcourt? How do we get it to Abuja? So that became the next challenge. Okay, now that we have this challenge, what are we going to do? Okay, cool. I see guys walking around with these double deck boombox things.
Yes.
And they're selling recorded pirated tapes, right? One day, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe we could use those guys. But then I was thinking, if I give them 10 tapes, they're probably just going to duplicate it and have 50, right? So they might sell my 10, but they'll sell 40 more. But guess what? The problem we were trying to solve, at least in my mind at the time, was not making money. It was making sure we could get the distribution going. So it didn't really matter to me. It wasn't about the money. It was like, listen, we need to get this out there, right? Let's get this out there. So anyway, we we start looking to talk to those guys. So at this point, we have a manager. His name is Fab, Mr. Fab. Everybody knows who Fab is. But yeah, so Fab is the manager. He's my roommate at the time, and he's also, you know, the manager for Tribesman. And Fab and I are like, yo, we got to figure out a way to do this, right? So we talked to one of those. Actually, no, we didn't talk to him. We've been trying to talk to him, but they won't really let you in on their whole organization, right? So then one day, this guy's walking past, and he's playing our song on the thing. And I'm like, okay. So we yanked the guy, and we're like, yo, bro, where you get this thing from? No, not from market. Which market? You know, the electronic market for Alaba. Oh, okay. That's where it's happening. So then we go to Alaba, talk to a few people. Obviously, nobody would tell us the secrets. We didn't know anything. They tried to shield us out of the whole thing. And then we met a guy called Toshku, who is now today known as Tijo, right? So we meet Tijo, and Tijo's educated. So Tijo's like, what are these university kids looking for in this market, like in this environment? So he talks to us, and he basically then took it upon himself to hear us out. So he invited us to their meeting, which actually happened in Tedrosho at like 5:30 a.m. or something. So basically, they had an organization that would meet like in Yaba at Tedrosho Market and talk through what strategy. Yes, in the morning. So we had to go there. Like, I remember that day it was dark. Woke up night. Anyway, so we get there, we sit through that, and we figure out a way for them to help us. Well, not them, because the association did not buy into it. Tijo was the only one that said, you know what, these guys don't see it, but I see it. He saw it, right? So he basically said, I see it, I'll do whatever it is, but here's what you got to do. You have to make the tapes and the CDs. I will distribute it for you. So now there's another challenge. Where do we get money to go mass produce CDs? Who do I go to? My mom, again. I go back to my mom. I'm like, yo, you know, the last time, I mean, you know, I haven't paid her back for the tapes, by the way. Like, the last time, you know, we need to do this, and this is happening, and that is this, and that, and the other. Okay, how much do you need, right? Again, she funds it. So we go back to Tijo, we make the CDs, and that's when we came up with that paper sleeve, right? Because that was the other thing, is when you're buying CDs or you're mass producing CDs, you needed to consider the jewel case, the plastic jewel case for CDs, right? Those plastic jewel cases. But the problem was, at the time, if you ship those things, they break. So you lose like half of them in the shipment. So it didn't really make any sense to go with the jewel cases. Plus, the jewel cases cost 17 naira. The CD itself, to mass produce it, costs 50 naira. So you're already 125 going in. How do you make a profit if people won't buy the CDs for more than like $100? Or at the most 150 at the time? How do you make a profit? So I started thinking of creative ways, and I thought, wait a second. Back in 1992, a close friend of mine, Abysmal, who's on Instagram, you guys, a lot of people know him, Ariwa Beats. We grew up together in Kaduna. He used to go to New York back in the day, and he used to bring back singles. And some of the singles, the promo singles, came in the paper sleeve. So I was like, I wonder, the same guy who printed the sleeves for our cassettes, maybe I can get him to print this card jackets, the paper sleeves. So we went back to the guy, did the design, went to Shomolu, sat with them, told them how to do it. They made a bunch of mistakes. Eventually they got it right. And that's how that paper pack became a thing, right? So then we take that back to Alaba. So I'm telling all these stories because it was a journey for us. It wasn't like ever a time when we're like, oh, you know what, we're going to do this and we're going to be, you know, big time musicians, be successful. No, it was about solving problems one by one. And then at some point it became, okay, we're spending all this money. I keep asking my mother for money. How are we going to do this without asking my mother for money? That became a challenge at some point, which is when we started thinking about how do we tour? How do we, you know, get people to pay us? How do we, and so on and so forth. But yeah. So that's pretty much how we got it started.
It's really, really funny because you actually jumped ahead of me, because I was really, really gonna ask you that, because LD, what you guys did, you became a problem solver for a whole generation, and I benefited from that because you guys put a template in place. And that was how someone like me was able to now go to Alaba and start talking to Tijo or talking to Abu, you know, because I remember asking questions that this thing was LD and Co who set this template in place. I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you to you guys, you know. So you just went right ahead of me, because I was going to ask you about that. How did you do that? I mean, what did you just have was it like a board meeting? What were the negotiations? How did you put that together?
Yeah.
And I remember Abu was like, hey, oh yeah, you know, but you put that in place because at the time I remember we had Sony Music, we had Polygram, but they had their own in-house machine, but they were not really messing with independent artists. So you brought a major solution to people like us who were just doing our thing by the side. We're not really necessarily, you know, signed to labels. So man, salute to you for that. I'm telling you. Now,
thank you very much. And I can't take the credit. I can't take all the credit by myself. I mean, there were moves that I tried to make happen, but there are a lot of people that were involved. Like I said, my mom is someone that never gets her flowers. I feel like she should. Fab dedicated a lot of his time. He didn't really make money, Fab. He just supported it because he believed in it. You know what I'm saying? Fab should get his flowers. People like Tijo who took a chance, they should get their flowers too.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, because it was unprecedented at the time. Nobody had done that before. So they were just like, this didn't shot, maybe shot. But then the willingness to say, let's give it a try. I think they also deserve credit, you know, for what they were able to do.
So when you started, what kind of deal did you put in place? Were you just getting points, or was it a case of, okay, we just put it out in the market, let's see what happens, let's see how many units get shifted, and then maybe do a percentage split? What kind of business imprint did you put in place?
So I had access to the internet, and I downloaded a distribution deal, literally template from the internet. And in the template, what we did was modify the terms, right? And essentially the way that we set it up with Tijo at the time was, since we were producing the CDs, we're supposed to get 75% of the revenue, right? And then he would get 25%. So that was the deal that we structured with him. Now, the same deal, I'm pretty sure, is what he gave everybody else later, but then he modified the terms of the deal. The deal with Tijo, was it favorable? It wasn't, because ultimately I never really saw the money, and, you know, that kind of just went down the drain. But the fact that we had other avenues open up by the fact that the music was now national, or even really across countries, because people started calling us from like weird places, Gambia, Ghana. That's when I realized that the piracy network had already penetrated across West Africa, right? Those people were reaching out to us from all those kind of places. So we started to do things, and we started to kind of generate revenue to where it didn't really matter so much. So we did structure a deal where it was a revenue split. Like it had nothing to, we didn't give any rights. We didn't give any ownership to the distributor. It was a simple distribution deal. I produce, you sell, right? I take 70%, you take 25%. How much are you going to sell the CDs for? Oh, I'll sell it for 100 naira. Okay, so the retailer sells it for 150, he gets 50. I take 75, you take 25. That was the deal. Did it play out that way for a little bit? And then after some time, the money stopped coming. And then I started hearing stories about, oh, the other people in the market, they're pirating and this and that and the other, but which is a story for another day. But I think that a lot of what happened after the system was put in place was a lot of what happened I can attribute to just Nigeria as a country, right? And the fact that we don't have any type of enforcement, like there's no way to actually make sure that people do what they promise. So I think that that was kind of what happened with Alaba, where if you had enough clout, they'll pay you. Like you would have gone there and you were a big mega star. So they see you and they're like, oh my God, it's Weird MC. they'll pay you, right? But if you were coming in and you weren't really so big, they'll say, no, we'll give you an advance. We'll give you money on the back end. And ultimately what happens is if they don't feel like they're going to need you again, you know, they'll just take your money, you know? So, but that's a factor of Nigeria, not the model. You know what I'm saying? So anyway.
So coming in, going to the radio stations, what was that like for you? Trying to get airplay, you know, trying to plug, promo, and all that. What was that
Boy,
like?
I hear artists today, they talk about, oh, hey, Baba is hard. They don't want to play my music. Listen, let me tell you something. There was a time, okay, in Nigeria where if you were Nigerian, there was no way you could get on the radio. It just wasn't happening. And then something happened, magical. This artist by the name of Weird MC showed up from, you didn't know where. She had this record and it played on the radio. So I was like, wait a second. So it's weird. I'm going to direct the question back to you. Wow. How did you get to the radio? Because I've actually been curious about that. I'll tell everyone how we got to radio. What you got to radio was what helped us realize that it was even possible to get to radio. So let me redirect to you. How did you get on radio?
I didn't even know that. All I did was come back home. I just signed this deal with Disc Entertainment, and then Disc Entertainment had a clapperboard TV. So I think we kind of penetrated the media through clapperboard TV.
Gotcha.
And the next thing I know, Radio 1 or whatever, everybody's playing it. We want you to come and do interviews. And then Pupa T, he's on the thing right now. He had a friend called Tukubo Jekunle. So Tukubo would go to Radio Lagos. I started going to all those places. Ray Power, you know, Kenny and D1 and all that. And I just started pushing and pushing. But some were like, we don't really understand the sound. It sounds too African. It sounds too foreign. I'm like, just play it. just play it. Let the audience decide. So I think that's how I broke into radio. I didn't even know. Seriously.
I'm telling you, you being on the radio did way more than you can even imagine, because what that told us was we can get on the radio. Oh. If she can get on the radio, we can get on the radio. So it basically became all right, so where are the radio stations? At the time, it was Ray Power, Radio Nigeria, and who else? Rhythm. Rhythm had just literally...
Rhythm came in pretty late, actually.
Rhythm came later, yeah. So Ray Power, Radio Nigeria, that was it. What was RN2, right?
RN2.
So Radio Nigeria 2, and so I mean, it was just those two stations in Lagos. And then I think Echo came later. So anyway, we started going to those places and trying to figure out who the program director was. So okay, there's a bit of background I need to give. I studied hip hop, the history of hip hop in America. I studied it. Like, I spent time trying to understand how the movement started, what they did, how they did it. So everything from trying to make the tapes to selling the tapes from the trunk of the car on the campus to trying to figure out how to get distribution so there was already kind of a blueprint. We just didn't have the infrastructure. So what we're trying to do is establish the infrastructure or find out ways to get to those things. And I remember from my research at the time that some of the artists used to go to the radio stations and literally stalk the radio DJs. Like, they would stand outside of the radio station, and when the guy comes out, they'd be like, yo. So I remember stories from like people like Busta Rhymes and Queen Latifah and how they basically got their music on the radio. So we were like, yo, Weird MC's on the radio, we're gonna get on the radio too. We will get so we'll drive to Rhythm or Ray Power at the time, which was like driving across the country. And go wait until we see someone. And eventually we met Steve the Slick Cattery. Oh. Steve the Slick played it a little bit until he got shut down. He told us, hey, my oga don't tell me, say, we gotta play this thing again. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I want to help you guys, but, you know, it just is what it is. So then so Ray Power died for us. At that moment, I was like, okay, hey, it is what it is. I know that there are people here who also have a record label. They have artists. They're trying to promote their artists. Great. So we turn away, and then thankfully rhythm started. So when rhythm started, obviously we had been part of like, well, we didn't perform, but we knew we'd been sort of, we're familiar with like Lecky Sunsplash and kind of what rhythm was doing. And then the fact that there was, I believe, some relationship between Disc and the folks at Rhythm, maybe business relationship, whatever the situation was. We went to Disc. I didn't even know that it was Disc that put you on. We went to Disc. We tried to talk to them at Disc. We tried to talk to them at Sony Music, say, hey, who's your radio person? We tried to talk to them at, we tried to talk to Eddie Lawani. Yo, what do you know? Who do you know? Can you help us? Blah, 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 blah. It was every single time, no, roadblock, roadblock, roadblock. And then we went to Rhythm and we started to stalk the Rhythm DJs. And then mysteriously one day, our studio was in Surulere. One day, a Bounce, who was Rugged Man's partner at the time, a Bounce came over to the studio and he was like, yo, I know DJ Abdullah. I know DJ Abdullah. If you guys give me your CD, I can get your CD to DJ Abdullah. And I was like, that makes sense. Where does Abdullah live? I would love to meet Abdullah as well, because this is not, you know, so a Bounce was like, yeah, I'll do the hookup. So a Bounce takes us, this was around the time we met OJB as well, and early D'banj before the music, and Rugged Man, and Simeon, and Normalus, and there's so many people.
Silvertone.
Sound Sultan, you know, like Solomon. This was around that time, like there was already kind of a movement that was forming, right? People knew about one another. We heard each other's music. We used to go to the same events. Jimmy Jat had already started to organize his Tupac remembrance gig, right? At Water Parks. This was 96, right? So 97, 98, we already started to meet everybody else in the industry. But anyway, long story short is we go to DJ Abdullah, give DJ Abdullah the CD, and I'm thinking, and then I'm asking Abdullah, I'm like, yo, when can we come to the radio station? Like, we want to do interviews. And Abdullah is like, yo, bro, one step at a time. Let me take this and play this for like J or somebody and see what they think, you know, before we can start talking about all this other extra stuff. So anyway, he takes it, and I think we gave it to him like on a Monday evening, all right? The following, so nothing happens on Tuesday, on Wednesday. On Wednesday, somebody calls me and they're like, yo, I heard your song on the radio. And I'm like, yeah, of course. That's incorrect. I listen to Rhythm all day, all night. There's no way they're playing the music and I don't know. And then on Thursday, I'm listening to Rhythm, because we all listen to Rhythm for Top 7 Jams at 7, right?
JJ, yeah.
JJ is running Top 7 Jams at 7. And then the next thing, he starts hyping the song. He's like, oh, coming in, debut at number 2. This song is this, it's so hot, it's this. It's by Nigerians. And in my mind, I was thinking, which Nigerians got to the radio before? This is bullshit. You know? Like, all this hustle. Who are these people? Like, I need to know who these people are. And then he goes, yeah, number 2. And I was recording it too, by the way. So I do have this recording somewhere. I don't have the tape on me, but I think it's in one of the boxes in my mom's house. But anyway, so I'm recording this whole thing because I'm trying to figure out who it is. I hit record. I was like, I want to make I hear this song. And then he goes, at number 2 this week, Tribesman. When he said that, as soon as he said it, I heard the phone ringing. I heard someone screaming. I heard my mom screaming. I heard, like, at the moment he said it, like, I don't know, everybody was listening to radio at the same time or something. And I'm freaking out. I'm trying to understand what's going on. And I don't think people can appreciate what that moment felt like. I don't think you guys can appreciate what that moment felt like. That was a moment that, for me, I feel like it felt like we jumped light years ahead of where we were at the time, because finally we were on the radio, right? So then we get on the radio, and everyone's calling. KB, his brothers, sister, my mom, my cousins, everybody's calling. The phone's ringing. Oh my God, you're on the radio. Everybody's going crazy. And then from there, it just was on the chart.
Wow.
The first week, the second week, the third week. And then I was like, oh. And then they were like, yeah. So Abdullah is like, yeah, remember you guys wanted to do that interview? I have a couple slots for you. You guys should come to Rhythm. So we go to Rhythm, and her name, I forget her name, but she was at Rhythm as an OAP, and then she moved to Cool when Cool started. She gave us our very first interview. Her name was, oh God, help me. I hate it when I have these moments where I forget names. But anyway, it was female OAP, brought us on. Our voices were shaking during that interview. I remember recording all of it. Yeah. So anyway, we're up here. We're on the big stage now, right? It's an opportunity to make an impression. So we do the interviews, and then while we're there, all the other OAPs started reaching out. Hey, can you come on my show as well? Can you come on my show as well? Can you come on? And that was kind of the beginning of it. So by the time Cool FM started, Rhythm had already kind of set the tone, right? Like, hey, you know, this is happening, blah, blah, blah. And then so when Cool FM started, Chris Ubosi, who also was very, very, very graceful and Chris, very generous and very supportive.
Yeah.
He literally said, hey, I know this is Cool FM and we're the cool station that plays foreign music or whatever, but I am going to support local talent that I believe is good. So bring me local music and I will play local music. Now, guys, at this time, the law in Nigeria actually said that local music should be 60% of radio content. However, we had gone for so long with people getting away with just playing foreign music that there was, I mean, it wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even a consideration. Like if you wanted to attract an audience, you needed to play something foreign.
Yes.
So
yes.
The fact that the music I felt resonated with the people enough was part of what motivated everybody else that followed after Rhythm and Cool. Was like, you know what? People actually like this stuff. So we're going to play this stuff alongside whatever other else kind of international music that we're playing. And we're going to start to put our artists, plug them into these charts so that we can also start to have people that have local relevance. And ladies and gentlemen, the Grammys of today, that was the beginning. Like some people just deciding that we will support our own thing.
Yep.
We will support our own thing. We're gonna play you Nas and Jay-Z and Naughty by Nature and all of that stuff, but we're gonna play you Weird MC as well. And we're gonna play you Tribesman, and we're gonna play you Rough, Rugged and Raw. We're gonna play you Mode 9, we're gonna play you Rugged Man, we're gonna play you pretty much all the pioneers at the time, you know, Azadus and Defo Clan and pretty much everyone that came, you know, after that era. Like that movement, that whole breaking radio was really when independent artists now had an opportunity and everybody just followed the same sort of, you know, playbook. And the next thing you know, it shifts. I remember when it shifted in 2003 was when it shifted, when the radio airplay shifted from 90% foreign or 95% to about 60% local. It was a huge shift.
Yes.
And then obviously the rest is history, as you know, to what happens, you know, when that. So, you know, again, I get excited about this because just seeing how far we've come as a genre, just seeing how far we've come as a culture. I think people forget the culture part too. Like everyone's looking at the music. The fact that people outside of our culture understand, respect our culture. The fact that Beyonce feels like this is such a big thing that I need to be associated with it.
Yep.
Right? The fact that Justin Bieber, who is undoubtedly the biggest, if not one of the biggest artists in the world, is like, listen, I need to be on this vibe. That Drake, who is easily the most successful Black rapper, easily successful off of music, obviously, right? The most successful Black rapper thinks, you know what? I am going to tap into this unique thing that is coming out of West Africa, and it makes him his biggest record ever. Like the joy that, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same.
Yes.
That I feel when these things are happening.
Yes. Yes.
Like you guys, people can't even you can't even begin to understand because these were dreams.
Hmm.
These were dreams. These are dreams, and the one thing that I'm grateful for is that I'm alive to see it.
To see it, exactly.
There are a lot
Exactly.
of people who put in work that I remember very fondly, who unfortunately, aren't alive to see it. Someone I would have hoped would have been alive to see all of this happening is OJB.
Yeah, same. OJB.
I know how much work he put in. I know,
Wow.
I mean, Steve Carter is someone else that I would have loved to see this, to see that letting those young boys into the studio and doing that interview and playing our music for the couple of weeks before they shut him down gave us an opportunity that led to Nigerians, people from the streets in Nigeria. And when I say streets, when we talk about this whole streets thing, I don't think people take it as seriously as it is. People from the streets, meaning people who really had nothing else.
Yes.
They had nothing else but music. The Dagrians. Wizkid came from a relatively middle-class family by Nigerian standards, but he was still from the streets. From the streets in the sense that this was the thing that he loved, the one thing he had passion for, and it couldn't have happened if all of these things didn't line up. So for people who played those, like, there's so many people I can name, right? Jimmy Jad is a big one. Olisa Diwa doesn't get his flowers. You know what I mean? JJ Top Gun, I think, is the most underrated.
Yes.
Of all the influencers of what became Afrobeats music. Because if he didn't support it, the radio stations that came behind them wouldn't have supported it either, because they were looking up to rhythm and saying, okay, what is rhythm doing and how is rhythm getting their audience? So we're going to mimic the rhythm a playlist. And that's how we will get our audience too. And what was happening indirectly was they were giving the music more relevance. And then at some point, I remember when this happened, it was mind-boggling. I saw Nigerians rush to the stage when they announced that an artist was about to perform. And on the front row, people were crying. That was not a Nigerian thing. It didn't happen. It was just not part of our culture. We never revered our people like that. We never thought of our people like that. We never felt that way about our own talent. So seeing all of that happen, it was just like mind blowing. And then to get here, just be yani. But from the bottom of my heart, there's nothing more satisfying than
I'm even getting emotional, as you say.
You can't but get emotional. You can't but get emotional. You can't but get emotional because I used to dream. I had these dreams. I used to wake up and be like, oh man, it was a dream. I had these dreams that I'd be in the same room with the Fugees. And that I would tell them about Afrobeats, or Nigerian hip hop is what we called it, right? That I would tell them about Nigerian hip hop, that I would tell them my story because my story is similar to their story, right? That I would tell Busta Rhymes how he got here. That I would meet QTip, who was like probably one of the biggest influences on me personally. That I would meet QTip and actually have a conversation with him. And how all of these things, like a movie, every single one of those things happened.
Yes, they're playing out.
Like they played out. All those things played out. In 2000 and what year was that? 2006, I was in a room with Lauryn Hill for about a week. We were trying to create music for the next album.
Ooh.
The album that never came out. The album that never came out. But the point,
I love me some Lauryn Hill, man.
Yo.
Oh my goodness.
Kids from Nigeria having a dream that one day they will get to meet these Grammy award-winning artists. They will sit in the same room and they will have creative vibe. And the Grammy-winning artists will say, that is dope. The dreams. These are things that it's hard for people to understand what I'm talking about because you have to have context. You have to have been there when there was nothing.
Yes.
Because now people take it for granted. Oh yeah, this is on Billboard. Omale, oh, this, you know, CK and Burner Boy, David Doe, you know, that David Doe said this, that. Do you guys understand what this
Billboard.
means?
They don't get it. They can
Billboard.
never.
You
I don't think.
understand what this
Oh
means.
man.
So anyway,
I
yeah,
think.
I'm
I
done.
think. You know. You're my guest, but I think one of the most emotional. I think what got really emotional for me one time was it was one day, on Mode 9 was like, wait, MC, where are you? Where are you? Go on Twitter, go on Twitter. I'm like, what? Just go on Twitter. And I was on Twitter and it was Questlove talking about me. And I went to
Wow.
what? And I went to the, like, is it real? Share this on our phone and a scam? You understand what I'm trying to say? And it was a real guy. Apparently he had done this huge article about me. So I went to check the article. I'm like, what? These are the
Wow.
guys that I look up to, the Roots, Questlove. What? I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, ooh, performing on stage with Salt and Pepper when it came to Lagos with Sasha. I'm like, what's going on? You know, and LL Cool is asking the star guys, what kind of music is that? What is that? What's that Ijoya sound? And they're like, we're gonna bring over to explain to you. And it's just amazing that these things are happening. And saying hey to Lauren Hill when she came to Lagos as well. LD people can never ever understand what
They
these
can't,
things are.
oh,
They can never ever understand because now we
they
enter
can't,
the bush. Now we enter bush. Now we enter the
they can't,
forest. So they can never
they
ever
can't.
understand. Now, let me ask you this. How were you able to juggle? Because I remember you were wearing so many hats at the same time. You guys had, Tribe Records, you had the studios. I know Ayoshanaya was involved in your management, and you just had an onslaught of talent. There was Two Shots,
Two
Blaze,
Shots, Sasha,
Sasha,
Dell, Sid,
Freestyle, Kaboom.
Freestyle, KB, Blaze.
How were you
In
able?
fact, some
How were
people
you?
who,
How were
I'm
you able?
sorry, I was excited, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I understand. How were you able
go
to
ahead.
craft? How were you able to craft songs? Because these are different individuals. How were you able to sit down and think, okay, I'm going to do that for Sasha, I'm going to do that for Kaboom? How were you able to be objective as a producer? What was your strategy? Crafting a unique sound for each artist.
You know, if I'm being completely honest, a lot of it was, to me at the time, just common sense, right? Like, it felt like, okay, I have an artist, and I know that in order to sell an artist, they need to be unique, right? There has to be something about the artist that people like. Because I'm watching hip hop, right? And I'm understanding, especially the era that I grew up in, that you needed to be a unique artist. You had to develop, right? It wasn't enough for you to just be able to rap. You had to develop, you had to have some sort of brand, some sort of like characteristics that make you unique. So I would just look at each person and say, okay, you know what? Maybe this is what we do with this person. And then I talk to them about it too. It's like, are you comfortable with it? So I remember
Hmm.
when we were doing, oh yeah, Two Shots wasn't Two Shots wasn't like trying to rap in Igbo. Nobody was trying to rap in Igbo, right? Everybody was trying to just like, do what we do, right? But I told him, I said, listen, I think you can have a niche if you go down this path because it positions you to have uniqueness. Now
Yes.
you may not be able to out rap Mode 9 or out rap even freestyle or out rap somebody else that's in the crew, but nobody will be able to do this as well as you. So why don't you take that and run with it? And I think that was kind of my approach in general. So that's why I say it was a bit commonsensical, and we were having fun doing it as well. So there were a lot of experiments. There's so many things that people didn't get to see that we tried out. That it was like, that doesn't, it's not really working out, and then we scrap it and then we do something else. So yeah, it was organic, to be honest.
Hmm. That's a beautiful word. Organic. Uh,
Yeah.
hmm.
There's so many people that folks don't even know were around the early Tribe that started off their careers around the early Tribe, right? So there was Neola, who people didn't know
Oh,
was, yeah,
really?
Neola,
Neola.
yes.
Oh
As a
my.
matter of fact, Neola's vocals are on We Rock the Mic. Neola's the one that did the ad libs on We Rock the Mic.
Oh,
Tribesman's We Rock the Mic. There was Mist. Mist,
wow.
people don't know Mist. Falaka Mist did the ad libs on Oh Yeah, right?
Hmm, hmm,
Mist
hmm.
was recording music at the time. there was Dari Atalade, there was Sound
Oh,
Sultan and
Dari.
Lambo.
Oh,
Yes,
oh,
yes,
Lambo. My
yes.
goodness.
Dari's very first
Wow.
single, Dari's very first
Wow.
single was a Tribesmen song that Freestyle just didn't show up for. I'm not trying
Wow.
to, not trying to down Freestyle, but I'm saying
Yes.
there was a record that we made and we were waiting on Freestyle and he didn't show up to do his verse. And so Dari comes to the studio one night and he's like, "Oh man, I really like this." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yo, can I just vibe on it?" You know, we had the mic right there. I was like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." So he does that. And that's what became Young Men. Now tell me, where did you get your skills from? And so, and so there's so much history that's
Wow.
tied to like
My goodness.
so many people in the industry and things that eventually happened that just makes me it gladdens my heart just to see kind of how far people took it, to see how far Sasha took it, to see how far Two Shots took it, to see how far Dr. Sid took it. Dr. Sid, being part of Tribe, being in Nigeria, was instrumental to Mohit's success.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mohit, D'banj, and Co. They meet Oladile in England because Oladile had just moved. Oladile is Dell from Tribe. Meets them in England, and he's, "Oh yeah, this is going on." And then they're telling him, "Oh, we want to go to Nigeria," and he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, if you're going to Nigeria, the one person, LD's not there, this person's not there. I've also left. The one person that you can go to that can put you on is Dr. Sid because he has he's running everything now. He has all the contacts on radio and TV and blah 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 blah." So when they land in Nigeria, Dr. Sid is who they connect with. So they connect with Dr. Sid. Dr. Sid takes them to everybody, the radio people, the TV people, and Storm Records, which had become a label at the time, just when I was about to leave, which in an interesting way was where all of my guys went. So Sasha, Sid,
Yes.
went to Storm, right?
Yeah.
And so Storm is trying to sign D'banj and Don Jazzy to be part of Storm Records. And then, what's this gentleman's name? Toyin Sabar.
Yeah.
He was
Wow.
Toyin Sabar was working some deals or whatever, and he found this one thing that just made more sense than them signing the record deal. And so he gave them that opportunity, and that's how Mohit started. So all of this stuff is like connected and tied to one another somehow, some way, some influence there. The same way we went to radio because you went to radio, right? There were a lot of people who got distribution because we got distribution. And then people who even started music as a thing, because music was not anything, it was not a career or path that was viable in the 90s. Between the late 70s and the early 2000s, music was just not a viable thing in Nigeria. Like nobody looked at music as a profession of repute. If your child is a musician, it was thought of as a drug addict or like some sort of bum, right? So to bring dignity back to the profession, like to just bring dignity back to it, you probably don't realize, me listening to you on the radio is one of the things that made me think, wait a second, smart people do this too. Listen, this person is like us. This person is smart. Is having this conversation because the way that people perceived musicians back then was that they were just guitar carrying, dreadlocks wearing, Rastafarian, no ambition, drug smoking people. That's how people perceive musicians.
Yes.
So just to bring that back and show people that, guys, it's possible, is what you did for us. And is what we did for second generation. And is what they did for third generation. And is what third generation did for, I guess, who we would consider the fourth generation now, in the Fire Boys and the Joe Boys and the Omalays and the Thames and this new generation of people, like just showing people that, man, it's possible, it's possible, it's possible. You can do it, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And the funny thing is, right now, everyone is thinking we've hit the peak. We haven't.
We haven't. Look, we haven't even started.
Like, this is the beginning. This is just the beginning. Okay, that our guys are now like regular faces on global platforms is just the beginning. And I want to encourage everyone that is out there that has a dream. Don't stop dreaming.
Yes.
Don't stop dreaming, because I had a dream and my dream has over being fulfilled at this point. So anyway.
LD, when you go into the studio to produce,
Mhm.
what do you do? Do you like do the beat first, or do you just go into the studio, start vibing and start writing? You know, what's an average session for like you?
In the beginning, it was a little bit of both. Sometimes I would just have an idea, and I think, let me put this idea down, just like a rough maybe chorus or hook, right? I put it down, and then I'll come back and create a beat for it. Other times, the inspiration would be a beat, and I would just create the beat and then try and figure out what to do on it. And then later, I started to understand songwriting. Like when I moved to the States, I started understanding songwriting, and I started to learn that creating a song starts with the song. It doesn't start with anything else. It starts with the song, right? And what is a song? The song is not that final thing that you hear, is the lyrics and the melody. If I have lyrics and if I have melody, put lyrics to it, I have a song. Now that I have a song, I can now interpret that song through production. So what I learned from like being in songwriting camps in the States was that anybody can write a song. A song is just melodies and words, right? Now you can take that song and interpret it, depending on who's producing it. You can interpret that same song as a reggae song, as a hip hop song, as a country music song,
Yeah.
as a rock song, as an R&B song, as you can interpret it however you want, because melodies are pretty much the same. The keyboard doesn't change. It's the same 7, 8 keys, right? It's the same set of chords. It's just now how you represent it. I was explaining to someone the other day that I can interpret any song for you in any genre. It just depends on how it goes. So when you think about it, that's the foundation of high life music. When we're kids and when we're in school and we're drumming, that was the natural drum. When you guys are drumming on the desk, if you went to primary school in Nigeria, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Is it surprising that that's the sound that took us global? That's our unique sound. That's us. That's original.
Yes.
When you listen and you hear we're going reggae. You can do that. When you listen and hear down, 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 you've gone into the rock space. So anyway, without being too technical, the point is, and we did this as an experiment once while performing in Chicago, where I had a live band and we played Big Boy in 5 different genres. So dun 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 dun, and we did the reggae version. I got my stunner shades on, turning on my back, Louis on my feet, Gucci on my wrist. I'm a big boy. We played that in reggae. We went and played it in high life. We played all kinds of different genres, right?
Wow.
But then I say all of that to say that the technicalities of making music, once you understand it, everything else becomes easy. And anything can be reinterpreted in any type of way that you wish, right? So it starts with a song. My answers are very long, but I like to explain.
No, me, I love it. No. That's the point. That's the point, right here. What are you drinking, please? I want to say mad shout out to Two Shots. Mad shout out to Coffee Dance. I see you. You guys, I'm bringing Coffee on because Coffee needs to come and talk about dance.
Oh,
that woman. Two Shots is in the building. Two Shots. I was on his case. Wow. I've got LD today. Two Shots. You've got to come on. Freestyle. You've got to come on. So Two Shots. Tell me, what was it like coming out, working with LD? What was it like? You know, just chasing the dream. You've been dedicated to the craft and all that.
Sorry, I might be moving around a lot because you know me, busy. I have a couple shoots.
And me, I'm not busy. I be,
no, LD, you are busy, die. Me, I'm just trying to be busy. LD is busy, die. Egbon? First of all, before I start, I'd like to say a big shout out to LD, as always. Let me stay in the car. Let me actually stay in the car a little bit so I don't move around too much. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, first of all, before I start, big shout out to LD for inspiring the shit out of the industry. Big shout out to Red MC for doing what you're doing. Not a lot of people are keeping this flags flying. Not a lot of people are giving the roses, and I think it's important that these roses are given. And what you're doing is a fabulous job. LD inspires from all kinds of life, from music to personal to business to everything. Now back to the question. What was it again? What inspired me to
So what was it like? What was it like working with him and all that?
I mean, I can say to today, categorically, a lot of my attitude came from watching LD act as a human being and the person. First of all, I had to learn how to be confident, bold, walk into wherever it is that you're walking into with nothing and walk out with everything. That's something that he tried to teach us, and you know, everybody else who was around. Work ethics. LD went with moods. He had to feel what you were. He had to see the hit before he even touched it. He had to see it even before he's recorded. LD needed to have seen it, seen the end of the work, and then we go into the studio and then record. He was always an advocate of having people together. But here was the thing, and this was the strongest part that I took: being able to put people together under your umbrella, but also, and here's the important part, it wasn't about giving us a hub to existing. It was teaching people how to fish.
Wow.
Yeah. So Tribe Records was something that people didn't understand at the time, which was a conglomerate of a lot of important heads who were supposed to go out there and become kings and queens and build their own kingdoms. Everything was supposed to be under the umbrella. I mean, you're under Tribe Records, but you're still your own person. You're still your own entity. You understand? Fish and bring it back, bring the glory back to the house. So, which was something that we all learned how to fish. It wasn't about just being there, sitting down there and just waiting for recordings and waiting for handouts. We never had sign-on fees. We had never had all of that. But we had something that was strong, a union. And that was something that all of us took away from Tribe Records. And if you can see, you can check out everybody else who's doing their thing. I'm sure everybody else who joined Tribe Records became something major afterwards. Now, people quantify success with monetary values. I do not think that that's proper, because you cannot quantify success with money. I might not have millions in my account, but you know my name around the world. That's something money cannot buy. LD taught me personally a lot of things on how to be a person, how to be a man, how to hustle. To hustle.
I appreciate you for saying that, bro.
Yeah. How to hustle, know your shit, and get it. That was the ball. But it was not important. It's just get it and be successful at it. That's something I took home from being a part of Tribe Records.
Wow.
Lambo the virus, I see you. Holla. Lambo's in the building. Oh, tonight is really, really special though. Everybody came out for LD full force.
Yo, I appreciate it, man. 2 shots. Always, man. Love. Like, I appreciate it.
I got Soul Snatcher in the building.
Soul Snatcher in the building.
Oh, Soul Snatcher. Look, that's somebody else. I need to publicly give his flowers. Now,
Soul
I
is.
don't know about all the dads, but um, he married my best friend, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah, you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
yeah.
His wife
Yeah.
still is my best friend. You know, God rest her soul. But I've been
Amen.
seeing the
Amen.
amazing works that Soul Snatcher has been doing with the kids, and in fact, we should give him Father of the Year because that shit ain't easy.
Father of the century itself.
What of the year?
Father of the Year and years to come, said.
Amen. So, LD, you set this whole thing up. I remember coming to see you in VI. You had set up this distribution thing. I remember I was like excited. We're gonna do stuff, and then you moved to Lekki. You set something up again, and then I'm like, "Where's LD?" And they said, "LD's gone back to America. You disappeared." And I'm like, "No, it's not true."
Yes.
You disappeared. We heard this thing that, you got this major grant. Let me not say much. We heard you got this millions and millions of dollars. You're going to be like the new PDD. You're bringing something again. You're turning new corners. And then you disappeared. I'm like, where is he? And then, boom, I saw the Play Data chats. The Play Data chats. What's that about? Because
Okay. So
that's awesome, man.
I like this topic. So basically, in natural LD fashion,
Somebody said LD
wanting to
Grappa.
solve wanting to solve problems, wanting to solve problems, I figured the one thing that we didn't quite have together was a way to properly manage intellectual property. So now the music is everywhere. Now people are downloading it, people are playing it, but the owners of the content weren't able to really make money off of it. So I was trying to figure out a way to use science to solve that problem. So I basically tapped into my IT side because most people didn't realize I wore multiple hats. I've worn multiple hats all my life. When I was younger, Two Shots will probably be able to attest to this. My computers that we use, I built them.
Yes.
Like
Wow.
it wasn't like
every system we used to record was specially built for every project.
Built. Like I was building them. So I knew I had that background shout out to my dad. My dad is an engineer, somebody else who doesn't get his flowers. He was the first person to bring the internet to Nigeria. Like my house was the first place where there was internet access in Nigeria, period.
Wow.
Yeah, I know people don't know that, but that's another story. But anyway, so we had a technology side. My dad's company obviously was where Tribe Records originally was. Our office was right in the same building as the engineering firm, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to use science to solve the problem of intellectual property of radio, specifically radio royalties, clubs, bars, and everything else that was going on around the time. I figured that I could bring something to the table that would help COSON or any other copyright society that existed, right? So basically what I did was I took my money and went and started building out this product. Built the product, built an amazing technology, got actual global patents for the technology. And I was like, because I wanted to solve a problem that existed in Nigeria, right? So I was very Nigeria centric. My partners, investors, all North American. Everyone said, hey, listen, we know that this is the reason why this product was created, but there's a market for this product here that if we focus on that market, we won't have to deal with Nigeria at all. But I said to them, I am a person that believes in purpose. I believe in meaning. There's a reason why we created this. We have to use it to solve that problem. And I'm actually willing to, if you guys really want to work with me, we have to figure out how to solve the Nigerian problem, even if we don't make money from Nigeria, while we do everything else, right? So what's the next thing we do? We build a SaaS model that will let people use this tool, and we go to Nigeria. We get to Nigeria, and we're like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got this tool. It's going to solve the problem, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, yeah. Because initially, they don't really believe the tool works. But then we demonstrate the tool. And I kid you not, every single time that people saw that the technology worked. What we saw in their faces wasn't joy, it was fear.
Huh?
Yeah.
Even though it's meant for us.
Fear is what I saw in people's faces. And I'll explain that a little bit.
Like, how is this going to work? You're coming
So radio
from us. No.
now immediately recognizes that they can't lie about royalties.
Oh.
Now the numbers will be transparent. Transparency apparently makes people very nervous in Nigeria. So radio is like, let's see this thing. And then they're like, oh shit, this thing works. Oh, this thing works. So you notice. So it goes from wow to, oh my God, okay, what does this mean for me? And this is what everyone is thinking. Advertising, the people who could have benefited the most from this technology, the people who could have funded the music side, which was kind of the model, right? Okay, let's get advertising to use this because they spend money. If they're spending money, I'm pretty sure that they'll want to know where their money is going and be scientific about their budgeting. But when you take play data, a tool, and just for those who don't know what play data is, let me tell you how it works. So we built a tool that will basically tell you whenever a particular song is played on any radio station in a city. It'll count, it'll tell you exactly what time they played it, for how long it played, etc. The timestamp, everything. So if you have ads as well, it would do the same thing for advertising. So if you have an ad, the system grabs that ad and it starts tracking the ad. So it's able to track unique pieces of audio. Right? That's how it works. Now, when you present that to an advertising company, how does that help them? Advertisers spend a ton of money. They pay radio stations. They might say, hey, give me 1,000 slots. If they pay the radio station for 1,000 slots and the radio station plays 900, they don't know. If they played 600, they don't know. If they played 500, they don't know. Because guess what? Nobody's actually sitting down and counting. As long as you hear it, you're like, we pay for the ad, they're playing it. Right? So here's what radio stations turn around and do. Radio stations have a maximum number of ads they can play. But if you bring your money for advertising, they'll collect it anyway, even though they might be able to only play 200 ads per day. And I'm just saying through 200 as a rough number, right? Let's imagine it's 200 ads per day. If 500 people bring ads, they'll take money from everybody, but they only have slots for 200. So they'll only play 200. So all the people that are paying that extra to the radio stations are basically throwing money in the hole, right? Savings for those people. The radio stations themselves, when they run ads sometimes, the people they run the ads for say, prove it to me that you ran my ad. There's no way for them to prove it, except to say, we did. There's no scientific way to prove that. Now, the system is set up in such a way that if you're a radio station, you use it to verify all of the ads that you play for your customers. One, radio stations win. Advertiser, you use it to track all of your ads. You know where you're spending money. You can actually now scientifically measure your spend against your return and know where to spend money. Win for the advertisers. Musicians, you can now track your songs, know exactly who's playing it, how many times, where. So now you can get your royalties based on that. Charting, play data charts, which is what you talked about in the beginning. Now we know who is truly played the most because we're tracking it scientifically. We're not just guessing. This is not just some OAP that came up with a list. This is scientific. Okay, now I know for a fact. I remember what year was that? 2014. The biggest song in Nigeria in 2014 was what's that kid's name? Maven kid. Two shows, help me.
24 Maven kid.
I'm trying to remember the song.
Korede Bello.
Korede Bello.
Korede Bello.
Korede Bello. What was that song again?
Godwin. Godwin.
Was it Godwin?
It was Godwin.
Yeah, it was Godwin. Yeah. I don't get a lot.
I'll pull it up. I have it here somewhere.
No, romantic.
I think it was Godwin, actually. No, romantic. I think it was romantic. Hold on. I'll pull it up.
Oh, I thought it was Godwin.
Why you want like that? Are you gonna take something from me?
No. It wasn't. Why you gonna do it? It was. Let's see. Top songs 2019. Top songs 20. No, that's not it. Top songs.
I think it was Godwin.
2017.
Is it Ricardo Banks?
Then
No, no, no.
Ricardo Banks.
2017, the biggest song was If. The second biggest song was Mad Over You. 2016, I think is what yes, 2016. Hold on a second. Where is that song?
Someone said Mr. Romantic.
No. Whatever that song, that song, the Corey
Yeah, it was
song.
that song. It was that song.
That was romantic, right?
Yeah.
Biggest song on the radio.
Wow.
Fada Fada, yeah, Fada Fada followed. Then Olua Me, Ricardo Banks, Kiss Daniel Mama, Adikunle Pickup, Techno Pana. Yeah, romantic. That's what it was, because romantic spilled over. Justin Bieber, Sorry, believe it or not. One of the biggest songs, Work.
Yeah. Big, yeah.
Hola, money. Sugar Boy. Love Don't Care by Simi. Wizkid's or Magbedu is Final. We were able to see this scientifically across the country, right? Where people were playing what from
Shout
where.
out to Lexi Do. Lexi Do is in the
Shout
building.
out Lexi Do. Lexi Do in the building. What's up?
Delicious.
So anyway, I say all this story. I tell you all of this stuff to say that the reception that we got in Nigeria was panic.
Wow.
And then, yes, panic. And I'll tell you a conversation that I had with one of the executives. And this is the reason why I basically decided to back out of that program.
Wow.
One executive at a beverage, let me just say beverage company, said to me, now, I have looked at your proposal. I have checked out your product. I have seen it work. We've been watching it for the past week. I had it set up in their boardroom so they could see it in real time, right? What I can tell you is that your solution is solid. The product is amazing, but Nigeria is not ready for it.
What?
The reason Nigeria is not ready for your product is because, and at the time, I felt a little bad because I just thought, what the hell is this guy talking about? But in retrospect, I appreciated that I appreciated the honesty in the position that he took. Because he basically told me, he said, look, people don't want transparency. And the reason they don't want transparency is because there are a lot more people rather, who benefit from the lack of transparency. And let me tell you who those people are.
Oh, yes. I got stories to tell.
The people who sell media don't want people to know the numbers. The people who run the stations don't want people to know the numbers.
What?
The advertising, the people who are in the organizations leading the marketing don't want people to know the numbers. Nobody wants people to know the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if nobody, even artists, don't want people to know the numbers. Artists don't want people to know the numbers because you can arbitrarily say, I'm the #1 artist in Nigeria. Well, the data might say something different.
Oh.
The data might say something different. So what I started to notice was that the artists who are #1, they would promote it. Oh, yeah, I'm #1. Play data says I'm #1. The artists who are telling people they're #1 would be like, this is not any play data. It's not relevant. I'm really #1. I mean, if you go to the streets, you know I'm #1. Well, the science doesn't say so, right? So when you have that many people pushing back, you have to ask yourself the question, is it even worth it? Because on the Western side, even in Jamaica and in South America, people saw the patent and reached out to us. Whoa, how'd you guys do this? What did we have that was unique with play data? You could track music at any speed because of how crazy, we didn't have standards of how we play music on the radio. So we had to work those things in. Nobody else had that problem. We had that problem because DJs play music and they play it at different speeds. With our technology, you'll track it, whether it's fast, slow, high pitch, low pitch, you'll still be able to track it, right? With all the other things that existed, and with like the Shazam had the majority of those patents at the time. With all the other patents, you could just, Shazam. With all the other patents, you could track just basic play, because they didn't expect you to play the music any other way than the way that it's created, right? But we had the extra layer of being able to track in that manner. We also had a way to not only track, but we could also do keyword searches. So if somebody's talking about something, we can find anybody talking about any topics. So now, not only can I tell you what the hot topics are in any region with the technology, I can actually tell you sort of what people's pain points are, what people are excited about, what people are mad about. So it became more of like an intelligence tool. So to cut this long story short, that's what became of Playdata. It became that. And it moved away from being this tool that I thought I was trying to help the industry by providing. I never charged anybody $1 to use that tool in Nigeria. Not a single person was like, oh yeah, no, take it, use it. Advertisers use it. You guys can pay us a percentage of how much you save. How about that?
Yes.
Don't pay us up front. Take it, use it, pay us a percentage of how much you save. Do you know how many people would have benefited from this? Every single musician would have benefited from this.
Yeah.
Every single advertiser would have benefited from it. The government would have benefited from this. We've been trying to figure out a way for them to tax. How do you tax if you don't know who's spending what? You don't know.
I remember bringing this topic to the table of MCSN. I don't know about COSUN. I don't know who follows COSUN, but I'm not a COSUN soldier. So
But I can tell you what happened with COSUN.
Oh, I can imagine what happened with COSUN. We don't even need to tell. I can imagine what happened to COSUN.
I think it's worth telling.
I can imagine 99 million ways why it will go wrong with COSUN. I can say that categorically. I can say a million ways why it would have gone right with MCSN, because I remember that I brought that to the table of MCSN. I told her, I said, look, I know you guys been tracking and been sending me checks, because they have been. I'm not gonna lie. I've been with MCSN since my career, and they've always looked out for me to bring checks, and they had the same tracking database where they used to, because I don't know how they did it, but I remember when I was asking questions and they were like, look,
I know how they did it. I can tell you, yeah.
I know LD knew how they did it, because I brought Play. I was like, look, this is something LD is doing. You guys should tap into this to increase how we as artists get paid from. You'll find out that your songs get played even in airplanes that you don't even know about. You understand? And I was getting that money. I was getting that money, and this were businesses on the side quietly that I did, that people didn't understand how I was staying relevant and having money to be able to keep my lifestyle up. There were businesses in the side of music, besides being an artist and going for shows and trying to get the other areas, which is the part that LD was talking about. And I know that for a fact that people try to stamp on that wonderful idea to actually help artists, help the industry. It wasn't supposed to just help artists. It was supposed to help entrepreneurs. It was supposed to help record label execs. It was supposed to
finally intelligence.
You understand?
That you can use to plan.
You understand?
You know?
It was supposed to reach out to every area of the industry. Now, when we're talking about industry, we're not talking about just being an artist. Even dancers, you understand, you could create whatever it is, as long as you have content outside there being used, you are going to be able to track your work, track it and see everything clear. But you know how it is, which is another story for another day, which is how,
no, it's not it's not a story for another day. I think we need to talk about it. Okay. We need to talk about the fact that people are telling me that the guy who is in a beverage company heading marketing is telling me your product is going to save me 1.2 billion a year. But I can't use your product because that 1.2 billion a year that you're saving me, there's some people will be saying that then they collect that money today. What do you want them to do? What do you want me those people to do?
Oh, man.
And that's piracy right there.
And that's it.
Right.
Is if you tell me like I'm not going to take this tool.
That's corporate piracy.
No, I mean, yeah, it is what it is, right? Like if you tell me you're not going to use the tool because there are people who benefit. And you know what the funny thing was? at the time, it sounded to me like crazy talk. But I appreciated the fact that he was honest, because what he told me was, listen, bro, you are going to put a target on your back. People are going to try to shut this down because you are now essentially, and you're only doing, and that's how much you will save us. Think about all the other companies. Think about the telcos who spend all this money. Think about finance who spend all this money, right? You're shutting down an entire industry of people who chop where they didn't sow, basically, who are reaping where they didn't sow.
Yes.
So you're essentially going to make yourself the target of all those people.
They could even come after you, man.
They could. No, it's not that they could. He was basically saying, look, listen, let me just tell you, just be straight up. There's way too much at stake for you to be presenting a technology like this in this climate. This is not the environment for this type of thing. And I appreciate it. I didn't initially, but I appreciate it, because maybe that might be the only reason I'm still here. They just say, that political guy, you know, I don't know what happened. We went to Abuja one day, then maybe it was armed robbers. Oh, it was kidnappers. Oh, it was some, who knows what would have happened. So, you know, I'm not mad at him. And I appreciate that I'm alive to talk about it now, but that's the kind of environment created. That's the kind of mindset that we've created. And I mean, I'm not going to stay here and say this is just a Nigeria problem. These things happen in other places as well. But if there's one big thing that saddens me about my whole career, my whole story, is about how much effort I put into that to try to solve a problem for Nigeria, and how the Nigeria that I was trying to solve the problem for told me to go fuck myself. There's nothing that makes me feel worse than that. Like, that's the one thing that I think about every time, and I'm like, wow. What a way to say thank you.
I'm speechless. I'm telling you, I'm speechless. Eldee, someone just asked a question. Abby Space. She said, would you do a collaboration? You know, not necessarily just recording a song as an artist. Would you work with another producer internationally? Maybe you and Dre, you're producing a song together. You and whoever.
See, let me not lie. If Michael Jackson came out of, if he woke up from the dead and told me to do an album, I won't.
Why now?
Because
I like that too.
No, because and I'm not exaggerating. I don't think there's anyone that can really motivate me to make music any longer, because I believe, and you know, there's something that I've been saying as well, which is that for me, my life has always been about solving problems, right? When I started making music, there was a problem I was trying to solve. Every step of the way, I was trying to do something to solve some problem. Me making music now just for making music would be a vanity project that doesn't really add much.
A vanity project.
It won't be something that has any kind of purpose in it because I want money. I'm good. I don't want money from music. I'm not doing it because I want to be relevant. I'm not trying to be, I like the way that my life is now, where I go to Walmart, I can do whatever I want and be okay and not be bothered. You get it? I prefer that to everything else that comes with me getting myself back in the spotlight. So if those are the things that I value, those are the things that are important to me, then why would I want to make music? Because if I want to make music, I can't do it just for doing sake. I have to be doing it for a reason. There's got to be a purpose behind it. And if the only purpose is to be famous and to get money, I already have the fame and I already have the money. So I don't really need it, essentially. There's no point, you know. So, and I know it sounds a little condescending-ish. It might feel like some people might think, oh, the guy's feeling big, he's too proud, or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, I have to consider what's in it for me. Like, what do I benefit from this? Not what people benefit from it. You know, it's part of what I've grown to become, is to understand that I need to live my life based on what I need, not what other people need. You know, I need to be able to do things that make me happy. do things that would help my family, my kids. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do my own thing now. I mean, I don't need to begin the flex because now the artist there now I guys go buy Bentley because now Bentley everybody they drive and this. No, that's not me. That's not who I am. I'm not built like that. Like, I'm not interested in those things. I don't want to be in the club. You know, I don't want to be on tour. I don't want to be on the road. I want to be at home in my basement. Doing things that are meaningful, helping to change people's lives. That's what I want to do. Two Shots has said something now that I never made a connection. I think that's just who I've been, is that I've always just been trying to figure out a way to give people fishing rods. Those are the things that make me happy. Music is not going to help me give people fishing rods. So anyway, that's it.
Wow. Someone just asked a question. I really, really love what she's asked you. She said, are we close to having our own award events, which will have Americans hustling and jostling to be a part of it,
Yeah, I think we're close to that because all we need to do is come do the event here. Let's come do it in America. And people will be like, oh, what's going on over there? We're like, oh, okay. Some Africans? Okay. Who's in there? David. Oh, I know David. Oh, I know Whiskey. I know Burner. Oh, they performing? And then they show up.
Wow.
And then it's like, oh, okay. And now everybody wants to look at how many people have gone to the shows, to Wiz's shows, to David's shows, to Burner's shows. People are showing up.
I'm telling you.
Thames' shows. Rihanna is showing up to see Thames.
I'm telling you, man.
So it's already happening. Just bring it over here. Make it convenient. That's it. Like, if you tell people to fly to Nigeria, now they have to factor in the extra logistics. And plus, if you guys don't know, American government is telling us American citizens that we should not go to Nigeria. So, yes, that Nigeria is too dangerous, it's too hot, don't go, right? So if you're asking people to even come to Nigeria, it's only people who disregard that would come. So if you brought the event, say for example, if we had Hip Hop World, the next one in Atlanta.
Wow.
If the next Hip Hop World Awards happen in Atlanta, you could bring anybody, everybody would show up. Justin Bieber would show up. Drake would show up. All the people that are local to Atlanta will show up because, first of all, they respect the movement. They see how much more value it's brought, not just from the music side, but with dance and just the culture in general. The nightlife in Atlanta is run by Africans, Nigerians, if we're being honest. So they see that there is a movement. They see us everywhere. Everyone thinks that all the boys you see in the clubs popping bottles, they're all yo boys. That's not true. There are a lot of us out here that's making bank and that spend money, and people see it and people understand it. So there's already cultural relevance is what I'm trying to say. We just need to align it. But then again, maybe we don't even need them to align with what we're doing. Maybe that's the reason why our stuff is popping in the first place, is because we're like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing in pidgin and I'm going to sing it the way my people sing it. And I'm going to make it our own. And if Justin Bieber features me, I'm going to sing in Yoruba. And if Drake features me, I'm going to put Yoruba inside. Like, I'm not here trying to be you. I'm trying to be the best version of me, which you can never be. This is one of the things I used to say early on when we used to insist. Well, I used to insist then that we have to keep pidgin in the lyrics. Yes, we can rap, but let's do it in a Nigerian way because that's the only thing that makes us unique. If you come from the era of hip hop that I come from, you had to have an edge. And the only edge that we had as Nigerians was our Nigerianness. That was our edge. So why don't you use the edge? And I think, I may be wrong, but I think that the reason why our music has gone so far is because we decided deliberately that we will be Nigerian, unapologetically.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you.
If somebody try to do I'm like them, or we want to align with them, or we want to something with them, it will never have gotten this far because it would have gotten lost in the shuffle somewhere. So anyway.
But do you think we're experimental enough? Or do you think we're still trying to play safe?
I think we are experimental. Burna Boy on what's his name's show on the Comedy Central. What was that show called? The Daily Show, is that what it's called? On Comedy Central, he said to Trevor Noah, he was saying, "Oh, Afrobeats is like you've got a pizza and
Yeah.
you put all these little flavors in it,
Yeah.
and I can dish you whatever it is that you want. The dough is the Afrobeats. Everything else is just so we do experiment. I think we experiment a lot. We've done, a matter of fact, people trying to create subgenres of this contemporary African music comes out of experimentation, right? I want to do Afro pop. I want to do Afro jazz. I want to do Afro, what fusion, and people coming up all these kinds of. That is. I think we are pretty diverse. We don't give ourselves enough credit, especially because we understand the culture. But our music is way more diverse. If you really think about it from a diversity standpoint, our music is way more diverse than the music from the Caribbean. The music in the Caribbean all sound the same.
Yes.
As compared to our music. It's a huge difference in Davido and Omale. Huge difference in Omale and Thames. It's a huge difference between Thames and MI. It's a big difference between MI and, let's even stay within subgenres, right? There's a big difference between Thames and who's in that genre?
Say Simi. Simi. Yeah.
There's a big difference between Simi and Show Them Count. Like there's a difference. Like there's a lot of variance that we don't give ourselves credit for. We do have a lot of variety in our music that most other genres don't. If you listen to K-pop, they all have the same vibe. It's stadium music. It's all kind of going in the same direction. You know what I mean? Afrobeats is in all kinds of different directions. If you listen to Burna, it's different from Wiz. If you listen to today, Wiz is like, you know what? I want to lean a little bit towards dancehall. Tomorrow is like I want to lean a little bit towards high life. And the other days, like I want to lean a little bit towards pop music. Like that flexibility and to be able to pull it off is because we're very creative. It's because we're very versatile, I think. Might be wrong, but that's my perspective on it.
Let's talk about what you do in terms of, my goodness, LD, I don't even know where to place you. You're talking about, 1 minute you're talking about property, the next thing you're talking about Scrum mastering, Agile, you're talking about NFTs, crypto. I don't know, how do you do these things? What drives you to just keep giving and giving, to start putting these sessions together? You're constantly in coaching mode, teaching mode, equipping mode. I love that about you.
I thank you so much. I appreciate that. And honestly, I think that's just what makes me, like we used to say in Nigeria when I was younger, that's what makes me tick. Like that's what I enjoy. I love to see things go from 0 to 1. I love to see people go from not having to having. I love to see people go from not knowing to, like I just love to see the transition from before and after with anything that I do. So, and I've done so many different things, like you said, but what I've also realized is that I needed to focus on a few things in order to be able to do them very well. And that's what I've done over the last like half decade. That's one of the reasons why I can't do music anymore, because it'll take my attention away from these things that I'm trying to do now. Right? So real estate as my main focus from a investment and building and future standpoint. Teaching people to become agile practitioners as an empowerment vehicle. It's an empowerment thing. Like a lot of people who come across my program, like if you go to coachdabiri.com, I have a program where I basically teach people in 45 days to become scrum masters or product owners or whatever it is that you want to be in the agile space, right? The reason I have that program in place is because I feel the need to empower. I feel the need to give people something that I know is a low-hanging fruit for many of us, for people in the community, something that you can grab right now and change your life. The reason I want to do that, and I'll go to the reasons in a moment. So that's one thing, right? The other thing is, like I said, real estate. Real estate is personal to me. This is what I want to do to make sure that my kids will never have to set up a GoFundMe when something happens to me, right? So that they'll be okay, all right? that's the reason why real estate is the focus there. So those two things are the things that I really put my energy in right now. And what's in it? With real estate, it's just guaranteeing that the next generation, at least in my family, and everybody around me who decides to go along with it, including every one of you who's listening right now, that you can change the story of your next generation. That I wouldn't have to go to my mom to ask for the money to do it, that the money will be there for my children. They wouldn't have to ask me for it. That they will have assets, that I will leave them things that will make sure that they have to have it, right? Which also ties into the empowerment thing that I was talking about, because this empowerment to me, I'm thinking of the ways that I can contribute realistically. How can I contribute realistically to the community? So I've talked about taking care of my family with real estate. How do I take care of the community around me? Why do I even care about the community around me? I care about the community around me because I realize that as a Black man in the world, on this planet, the reason why people look down at us, or they look down at you because of the color of your skin, is because we don't have economic leverage. That's it. We don't have economic leverage. If we have economic leverage, people will stop fucking with us. I'm sorry, excuse my French. I know I'm probably not supposed to be cursing, but people will stop messing with us if we have economic leverage. Now, see finish. And the reason I understand this is because I'm a Nigerian in America. As a Nigerian, you cannot see, no be me, where you go see, where you go take one kind eye look, where I go to feel some type of way. Because deep down, I sure for my heart say I better pass you as a Nigerian. So you can't hurt me with racism. It's not gonna work. My self-esteem is way too high for me to walk into a place and then somebody tells me, oh, your skin color is the reason why you can't have this. I never believed that for a single day. I still don't believe it. So what I'm trying to do with empowerment is to give people economic leverage, more people like me, especially, economic leverage, so they'll stop seeing us finish. It's not everyone that has the luxury of having grown up in Nigeria and already built up their self-esteem before they got into this system. We're in a global village now where everyone from everywhere else in the world is saying to Black people, oh, you guys are disadvantaged. Oh, let's send you aid. Oh, let's try and help you. So the message is even leaving America now, is going to meet people in Africa where they are. They're telling you in Africa that you're poor, you're suffering, you're starving, don't worry. We can change that story.
Yes.
We can change that story. I've personally gotten almost 2,000 people from wherever they were, doing whatever they were, to earning 6 figures. To me,
6 figures.
Me,
wow.
Yes, in dollars. To me, that is empowerment.
Yes.
That I get that many people to the point where they can change the generation, the next generation. The story of the next generation can be different. I didn't put this program together because I just want to demonstrate that I know how to do it. I put the program together because I realized that this is the fastest way that I can get my people from wherever they are right now to economic positions of power, so that people stop seeing us finish. So they stop seeing us finish. When I walk into anywhere in America, I don't care how much money you have, I could do the same thing. Where's my wallet? I have, if we reach the place, if Zuckerberg come up black card, means if I go follow come up black card. If this one come up platinum, means if I go follow come up platinum. If now gold, I go follow come up the gold. Say, oh yeah, let's go, let's get it. What are you trying to do? I have the mouth to do it too. If there's that many of us who have this kind of leverage everywhere in the world, people not going to see us finish now, because guess what? When they want to choose who's going to be the next president of America one day, of these 1,000+ people and counting that have now become part of what is considered as the upper middle class, they will be the ones to decide. They will be the ones to decide. When Georgia becomes, oh my God, we need to figure out a way to win the election for the Democrats or the Republicans, they will call you and say, Baba, what do you think? When your children go to places and they're trying to do things, when they see their name, they will say, do it. That's what we're lacking today. So we're not trying to do it so we can, we need to change the condition that we're in right now. There are few of us, individuals, that are doing things, double-digit millions, have money, but they can't have impact because one person can't do it all.
Yes.
I met a billionaire in America that told me, said, look, listen, me being a billionaire doesn't help anyone. There's no way that I can truly have an impact. We need more billionaires. There's only so much one person can do. If 10 of these people come together and say, hey, if I get my gang together, and we call ourselves a Scrum Gang, by the way. If I get my gang, this is our logo, funny, that I'm wearing the t-shirt. No, shameless plug, but I wasn't planning. That's not what I was planning on. But anyway, when I say to this group of amazing people, let's do something. The ground will shake now when we enter somewhere. Ground must shake now. Oh, they're doing something and they're treating our people poorly in, give me a place, in Birmingham. I guys, more go Birmingham now. I mean, they no say, more. What's going to happen for here? Who is the person that is doing, why did they say that, what they did? Who is the person that is going to do the one that we want? Oh, that's the person. All right, all of us get behind that person. That's how you change policy.
Yes.
That's how you change people's attitudes. People don't realize that a few Asians, we've been screaming Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter for years. A few Asians get killed last year, and the first thing Biden does when he enters office is he writes a law that makes Asian killings a hate crime. For Black people, there's no law like that too.
What?
Why did they write that for the Asians? Because they have economic leverage. If Asians say they are not doing something, the whole system will crumble. How do we get there? So this is my motivation for empowerment. I don't like to shout. I don't like to talk. You'll notice I'm never part of conversations where people are screaming, oh, this man, the Black Lives Matter. I'm not part of those conversations. I'm like, what can we do? I'm thinking about the tactics that get us there fast. And the one thing that I know is that if I can build the confidence that I have in other people, and there's many people who are not just as confident as me, but also have the economic ability to shift policy, now we have mouth. Now nobody will sweep our agenda under the rug. Oh, be to budget governor new, to budget senator new, to budget president new. Here and in Nigeria and in Europe, we go get mouth. So that's my motivation. Might sound silly to people, but that's why I do what I do. So if you join the program,
because I've been
this is what you're signing up for.
I've been following you, man. I've been a scrum head for a while, and you even put me onto it. Like, Williams, you just couldn't do, and that's how I really got interested and just started to. And then
I'm glad, and you did it.
But I want to come back again and just go back. It was just an amazing experience for me. Now I've heard you speak so many times about Nigeria. And I see that you're very, very passionate. I went to your page a couple of days ago, and you guys were talking about Nigeria, how to just, how we need to unlearn and relearn, and just go back to the foundation and readdress and move ahead. Because I would love to see that. I would love to see the Nigeria of my dreams. I want to see things change, But I've always told people it starts with the mindset. We need to unlearn. We need to change our mindsets. It starts with that. It starts with that. Honestly, it's not enough for me to say, oh, I'm going to put somebody there. Oh, now my brother, now my sister. No. Are you capable?
Right.
Can you deliver? If you can't deliver, I'm not going to put you there just because you're my brother or just because we're from the same village or from this or from that.
Right.
You know, moving forward as a nation, LD, what do you think we can do? And would you ever run for office? You know, I've always been,
Oh, yeah.
I've been on your case for years to go run for something.
So, I don't believe that the way to fix soup that is getting rotten is to add more soup. That's not how you solve the problem. I don't think that someone like me going in to run for office is going to help as much as the empowerment campaign that I'm running right now. I think that the same way economic leverage will help to shift policy wherever we are is how economic leverage will help us shift the policies in Nigeria. Because that's what's wrong. It's just people just aren't putting the important things. They're not prioritizing the important things. I do, and I want to be careful about how I say this because I don't want people to feel like what I'm saying is, oh, people shouldn't participate. I feel like everyone has a role to play. The path that I've chosen is the path of economic empowerment. I want people to be able to be comfortable enough to say, this is what we need to do for Nigeria. So that's the direction that I'm headed in. I know there are a lot of people who would go into the political space and start to influence other people to do different. And I'll support them however possible, but it's easier for me to support them when I have economic leverage. I can shout. I've been part of the shouting. Don't shout, 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 shout. Sing, 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 sing. Talk, 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 talk. Protest, 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 protest. And I realized that, oh, maybe there's something else I can do that will have more of an impact. Maybe if I have an impact in Georgia, I will have a better play in influencing Nigerian policy. Maybe if I'm close to whoever the next US president is, I can tell him, like, guy, support us now, we'll change this thing. There's no interest right now, there's no motivation, there's no reason why anybody should care. But we have to fight this battle with a bunch of different guns and different types of guns, and all from different angles. There's some people that need to help re-educate. I keep saying about Nollywood. We need to help re-educate the masses.
Yeah.
We can't have a mechanism like Nollywood and continue telling people that bad guys win. If you tell people that story, that is the story. That becomes the only story that people know, is that bad guys win. So everybody wants to be a bad guy. Nobody wants to be a good guy. We can change the narrative with our entertainment, but we're not, so that's a battle. Some people can fight that battle. There's no single person that can fight all the battle. Everybody fight the battle from wherever, from your perspective. Some people need to be fighting that battle, right? I'm going to fight from the economic standpoint. We need people that are major economic players that can push policy, that can shift things, that can, if not to place sanctions, safe, that can initiate those types of movements that can make that kind of thing happen. That's where I'm interested. I want to play there because I feel like those are the ones that are most important. Money is what everybody, when people are going to lose money, that's when they cry.
Yes.
People cry when they lose money. All the people who want to chop money now, they chop money, Abi. You steal money for Nigeria, Abi. Still Nigerian money. You can't carry and come where? You carry and come here. When you can't reach here, you can't put on for Bank of America. But the VP for Bank of America, not my guy. And the senators and the what did they call them? The senators and the House of Representatives and the vice president, they are my guy. I can influence policy. They freeze all your assets here. First of all, if you're a Niger guy and you're doing this, I can tell them this is what they do. This is how they're screwing over the masses. There are plenty different roles people can play. Like you said, I'm very passionate about Nigeria. I want things to change. I've chosen that route as how to fight the battle. And I definitely acknowledge, appreciate, and support anyone that's going through any other route. But that's the one that I feel my skills are best suited for. I will not run for office because a political player is an administrator, and I'm not an administrator by nature. That's not my thing. Yeah.
LD, thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Awesome conversation. Thank you for coming on the Gatekeeper series. You're a gatekeeper. I love you. I appreciate you. You don't understand how much you inspire me. I go to your page, I watch stuff, and I'm like, wow.
Stop saying it, I'll cry. Stop.
Honestly, no, for real. Thank you.
You make me
Thank
cry
you.
because you see you.
Thank you for who you are. Thank you for what you do. For real.
Thank you for who you've always been. You've always been
Thank you.
a beacon of positivity. Every time your name is spoken, even when you're not in the room, there is a positive aura that surrounds it, and it speaks to the kind of person that you are. So when you ask me to do something like this, I don't take it for granted at all. I want to tap into that aura. I want to tap into that thing that makes you who you are. So I appreciate you for the inspiration. Like I told you today, I've never told you before. From the very beginning,
I'm stunned.
people tell me, "Oh, LD, you people, you." I said, "No, you guys don't understand that we're influenced by people as well. The fact that you were able to do it is what taught me that we could do it." So I appreciate that as well, and I appreciate you. It's all love. I love you, and I want you to know that I got your back. Whatever it is that you need to do, you holler at me. I got you.
I'm coming, I'm coming to knock on your door.
I got you. I got you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to everybody. Dabina, Son of Rock, Diasonic, Magnum, everybody, Kaffee, Two Shirts, too many names to even remember. Abby's Place. It's everybody's just here. My junior sister has just been like, oh, this is an awesome conversation. LD, once again, thank you.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you, man.
Thanks everybody. Much love.
Thank you. My love to the family, the kids, wifey, everybody.
Hey, same here. Love to the family. All right.